Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be talking about the new Moon Domain Cleric.
Not Druid.
Yeah.
Moon Cleric.
From the Taldorei Reborn new book that just came out from Matthew Mercer and the Critical Role team. It is an unofficial book, not to be confused with the campaign that's coming out in March, which is an official book. Don't worry about it. If you're new to the subclass series, we're going to go over all the abilities gained in the subclass, and we're going to rate it based on its roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy, based on how the abilities gained in the subclass improve on the base class abilities. Also, we are doing a giveaway for the D&D Beyond Players Bundle.
Free stuff.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in that. And of course, again, this video is sponsored by the Seeds of Decay Kickstarter. Make sure you check them out. It's just recently launched, so make sure you give it a look because it looks really cool. And yeah.
Partnering with Hit Point Press, and you know from our other stuff we've done so far working with them, they make some really cool quality stuff. Yep. So if they've got the stamp of approval from them and they're working with those guys, you know it's going to be a quality product coming out for sure.
For sure. So, jumping straight into it, Alex, Moon Domain Cleric. What's the spell list? What do we get?
As a cleric, we love getting free spells because we need more spells. Like everybody else gets more spells. They have access to their spells easier than clerics do, right? I mean, come on, it's clerics. I mean, obviously, I'm being sarcastic because you get free spells all the time and they get changed them every day anyway. So, this is a very interesting spell list. I made the comment about it being whole Moon Druid. This is Moon Cleric because a lot of those spells kind of do bleed over. They're very Druidy like spells.
Thematic.
Yeah, it makes sense. Fairy Fire, Silent Image, Invisibility, Moonbeam, Moonbeam, Hypnotic Pattern, Major Image, Greater Invisibility, Hallucinatory Terrain, Hallucinatory Terrain, if I can read the word how it's written there, that'd be great. Dream and Pass Wall. So there's a ton of, again, very Druidy spells, a lot of RP, and a lot of, CC, like scenery manipulation. CC and scenery.
Yeah, I got spun around there for a second.
How did I get that right? But I can't read the word hallucinatory correctly. There we go. Sweet. So there's your spell list. Again, interesting, and there's some shenanigans that can be done with a creative person on there.
Oh, for sure.
Also at level 1, we have Clarity of Katha. When you choose this domain at first level, you learn to shine light upon the mind's most dire moments, shielding those you protect. When a creature within 30 feet of you makes a wisdom saving throw, you can use your reaction to grant that creature advantage on the save. That's lovely. Mm-hmm. You can use this feature a number of times, equal your proficiency bonus, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Does specify another target creature, so you can't give yourself advantage on wisdom saving throws.
Yeah.
Of course, granted, you shouldn't need it all that much because you're cleric and you're proficient at saving throw and at your max stat. You should be capped anyway as soon as you can. But, yeah, again.
Something to keep in mind.
Yes, help your friends.
Then at level 2, we get our first Channel Divinity options. And yes, I said options at level 2. Usually it's 1.
There's 2. As
an action, you can instill a willing creature of your choice within 30 feet of you with one of the following blessings of your choice. The first option is Blessing of the Watchful Moon. For 1 hour, the blessed creature's speed increases by 10 feet, and it has advantage on Wisdom, Perception, or Survival checks involving smell or made to track a creature. So, there you go. Or, if you want a more combat-focused ability on here, you have Blessing of the Blood-Drenched Moon. For 10 minutes, the blessed creature has advantage on attack rolls against a target if at least one of the blessed creature's allies is within 5 feet of the target and the ally isn't incapacitated.
So, pack tactics.
Essentially, yes. So, yeah, you're going to be, if you have a rogue in your party, you give this to another martial character, and then him and the rogue, which probably already are already best friends because they're trying to give sneak attack to the rogue.
Yes, but now it actually rewards that friend for giving the rogue sneak attack all the time. Exactly. That barbarian, that paladin, that fighter, that monk even.
Then at level 6, we get a very unique ability that, well, we'll just jump straight into it. Yes. Channel Divinity, Mind of Two Moons.
Uh-huh.
Starting at 6th level, you can use your Channel Divinity to invoke the twofold Arcana of Exandria's Moons. By expending 1 use of Channel Divinity, you can cast a second concentration spell while already concentrating on a first spell, asterisk, as long as both spells are on your list of Moon Domain spells. Something to keep in mind for sure.
Yes.
So with that, if you need to make a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on both spells, you make the save with disadvantage. On a failure, you lose concentration on both spells.
So there's definitely some risk incurred.
Well, you saw the spell list. You can see some shenanigans already. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes. At 8, we get empowered cantrips. Again, adding your wisdom modifier to your cantrips. It's great helping the floor damage of those cantrips because sometimes when you roll, 3d8s or whatever, and you get 1, 2, 3, you're like, oh, that hurts. So at least you're getting add your modifier to help that floor bet. Never a bad thing.
Right.
Okay. Finally, we get to this thing at 17. And it's a thing. Because normally you get your channel of entities, you get 2 of them at 2, you get 1 at 6. Okay, we're off to a good start. Extra cantrip damage at 8. Not much between 8 and 17, actually. Well, there's pretty much nothing between 8 and 17. But this capstone is pretty nifty. Level 17, you have Eclipse of Ill Omen. You can call upon the familiar moon Ruidus. I almost want to say radius for whatever reason there, because that's the size thing, and we'll get there in a minute. To flare in the sky above you, eclipsing all other light. Its power surrounds you even where the sky can't be seen, and even on other planes.
Why not?
As a bonus action, you can manifest an area of reddish dim light in a 60-foot area around you. Yes, that's very large. In addition to the normal effects of dim light, creatures in the area make saving throws with disadvantage. When you create the eclipse, you can choose any number of creatures that are unaffected by it. That's very important too. Otherwise, you'd be risking your own party members and yourself having it's a saving throw. This eclipse lasts while you concentrate on it, as if you're concentrating on a spell for up to 1 minute. Concentrating this feature counts as a concentrating on a Moon Domain spell for the purpose of your Mind of Two Moons feature. So again, using that level 6 channel ability to concentrate on this, and you can still do one of the other spells on there that requires concentration and do both without running into any issues. Additionally, once per turn, when you deal radiant damage to any creature in this area of dim light, you can curse one of those creatures until the eclipse ends. No action required. A creature cursed in this way has its speed halved and can't regain hit points. And again, I think it's important to read that specifically again. Once per turn, when you deal radiant damage to any creature in this area of dim light, you can curse one of those creatures until the eclipse ends.
Right.
The way that's worded, you can curse a bunch of stuff. You can curse something new. So if you have a way to do, area of effect radiant damage, a la Moonbeam, for example, you can move it from one person to the next person, everybody gets touched by the Moonbeam.
Yeah, each turn
you get somebody else. Because even if you're not doing a ton of damage to them, you are, cutting their speed in half so they can't get out of the moon. Yeah. And that's important. And in fact, if they had a way to regain hit points, not anymore, they're not.
Right.
This feature is a once per long rest. Because again, there's a whole lot going on there.
Yeah. And it's a huge ability.
It's a huge area. Again, it's one of those things I say with previous videos. If you've got a capstone, it's once a day, it better hit, and that hits.
Yeah, for sure. So those are all the abilities gained in the subclass. So now we'll move on to the rating portion of the video. First up is the roleplay value. Asterisk, as always, when talking about roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. That's on you as a player. Cannot rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they might improve your potential in those role play scenarios. So, all that being said, looking at the spell list.
Yes, the spell list.
The spell list is fantastic for roleplay.
Yes.
You have so many options on here with different illusion spells.
Yes.
I mean, well, there's a lot of illusion spells, really, if you look at it.
They mostly illusion spells.
So, yeah, you can do a lot, and then being able to do multiple illusion spells at the same time.
Yes.
That's some shenanigans for sure that you could be doing on there. And then looking at with the advantage, being able to give allies advantage for wisdom saves. If there was an RP saving throw, it is wisdom.
Yes.
Because you're getting charms and stuff like that are impacted by that can impact your party members. But that is a little bit more on the niche side, because typically for RP, you're dealing with ability checks, not saving throws.
Yep.
But there are some circumstances when saving throws can come into play in roleplay scenarios, and if it does happen, it typically is a wisdom save for most of the time, as a general rule. So, spell list, check, RP.
Yep.
Clarity of Catha with the wisdom save, check. Niche RP.
Yes.
Moved on to the other channel divinity stuff on here. We have the 1 hour duration with the increased speed and perception survival advantage to track creatures. RP check. Channel Divinity, Mind of Two Moons. Can you do shenanigans while having 2 concentration spells of illusions? Check. RP.
Two checks.
Yeah, two double checks.
Yeah, sure.
Power cantrips, purely combat.
Yep.
We'll pass on that. Eclipse of the Ill Moon. It is your capstone ability, so I would be very wary of using it in RP scenario, but it does give disadvantage on saving throws. So if you wanted to have someone throw out a dominate person, dominate monster, and give them a better chance of having it succeed, you certainly could do that, and you could use it as a very intimidating kind of presence as well. There's some niche use on there, but you do have to be very circumstantial on that. So that is a niche use on there.
It's one of those things I wouldn't do unless it was like going into the end of the day. And you just you kind of know this is designed to be a social RP kind of session.
If it's a really key moment and you really need it, that could change the tide of negotiations or something like that. Then it might be worth it.
I mean, it would. There's no way, for the sense of flavor creativity, you'd create a big giant red moon essentially of effect over you that it's not like a little bit of an intimidation factor.
For sure. That's pretty much everything on there is giving some kind of value to roleplay scenarios. So we gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Only reason I didn't give it a 5 is because of some of those niche uses on there, and also to use a capstone for RP on there like that, questionable. So, and some of the other ones are a little bit more on the niche side, but definitely very good RP potential on this one, in our opinion. Yep.
On the combat side of things, we get, when you really look it down to all these abilities, there's a lot of potency involved in what you can get here. Yep. Starting off with the spell list, it leans more RP, but Fairy Fire, Moonbeam, specifically Greater Invisibility, all very useful in combat. Hallucinatory Terrain, to me, if you can create a trap to lure somebody in, can be a great way to open combat. But once it's there, you can't just throw it up there in front of somebody and expect them to run into it if they already see it coming.
It has to be like a prepared.
Yeah, but it would be like a prep for combat kind of thing. Clarity of Catha, 100% fantastic for combat because as a cleric, you don't have a ton of uses for your reaction. You have a lot of reaction-based spells you have access to. You don't have shield and things like that. So being able to help one of your other party members get through a saving throw, especially if it's a hold person or a dominate person spell that might be coming their way, or any kind of a charm spell in combat or effect, things like that. Great for being able to help them get over it. Again, you can help yourself, but again, it's your best key stat, and you're going to be proficient at that saving throw anyway, so it's better that you can help other people instead of helping yourself there. First Channel Divinity, the second half of it, obviously, because the first half is completely RP, the second half is completely combat. Being for 10 minutes to be able to give somebody advantage on all their attack rolls, as long as there's somebody else within 5 feet of him, like Jameson said. If you've already got a rogue in the party, you're probably trying to make that happen already anyway, so it just makes them, it just really further encourages that person to make sure they're helping them that way. And if you don't have any other body that's really designed to be in there as much, like if you don't have a fighter barbarian paladin in the group kind of thing, maybe you've got somebody that can be in there. Even if you as a cleric you got medium armor, you could be in there next to the rogue and you can help him out with that as well. You can just give the thing to him and just be there, and he can fish for those sneak attack crits and be really happy about it. The second thing, of course, Mind of the Two Moons, being able to concentrate on 2 of those spells at once. To me, the biggest combo is being able to greater invisibility yourself and throw a Moonbeam or Fairy Fire or whatever else you want. Even Hypnotic Pattern, there's some use there. Pass Wall, for example, because being able to hold greater visibility up and then do something else that people don't know where you're at, especially when you get to your capstone, that's pretty great. Power cantrips, extra cantrip damage, help your damage floor. Great. Love it. And we get to the capstone. Again, it is once per day, but it is really, really potent and really, really big because being able to force disadvantage on any saving throw for any target that you want for a minute. Yes, it does maintain your concentration, but that's fine because, again, you can concentrate on this while concentrating on being greater visibility, and they can't see you.
Right. It can maybe gauge the general area because it's a radius, but it's such a big radius that you kind of you have to do some guesswork.
So unless you're fighting an enemy spellcaster throwing a bunch of AoE stuff out there, you're going to be a hard time to be found to be dealt with, really. It's pretty fantastic. And then, of course, besides the disadvantage on saves, every turn you're doing radiant damage. So if you want to try to fire a Moonbeam out there, while this is up and get that radiant damage, you're reducing movement speed, so stuff can't get out of your moon effect, or to get to other allies in general to do damage. And they can't regain hit points. So there's a lot of stuff, and you get to higher CRs and things that can regain hit points passively, or they have abilities that if they hit, there's a save, they may regain hit points. Things like that becomes more and more common the higher you get. So it doesn't cut it in half; it just negates it outright. Right, which is great because trying not to metagame. You know, trolls a lot of trolls, if they take fire damage, they regenerate hit points.
Yep.
But in this case, you just say no. You don't get to regain your hit points. I don't care about the lack of fire damage we don't have. Happens anyway. Score-wise, we went with a 3.5 out of a possible 5. Again, there's a lot of potency here, but it's primarily due to limitations of use is why this isn't higher. Because you have 2 different uses for Channel Divinities in combat, but you only get 2 per day before level 18 when you get access to a third one. You may not get to level 18 on your campaign. Hope you do. But before that, it's just 2 per short or long rest. And your capstone is once per day. Besides that, it's just advantage of wisdom saving throw for other people and extra cancer damage.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is the capstone is crazy, but it is 1 a day. And it is level 17. You have to always keep in mind the high level abilities, because if you pick a class or subclass based only on its capstone,
Paladin.
You better be having a conversation with your DM to see if this is going to even come up.
Yeah.
Because if your campaign ends at level 12, don't be picking it based on the capstone ability.
Yep.
The capstone is incredibly powerful.
Yes.
Do not get us wrong there. And if you do get to 17 and you're able to use this thing, you're going to have a huge impact on combat.
Yes.
So take that 3.5 with a little bit of grain of salt, because that ability in and of itself is insane.
Yes. Again,
when it's
I compare it to the example I think of is the as far as the potency of like limited use abilities, the the time-based wizard,
Chronology Wizard.
See that? A lot of its abilities are once or twice a day, but they're super potent, and that's kind of the way this one's built as well.
Yeah. So all that being said, we'll move on to the last category, which is the synergy. And with the clerics, the main things we're looking at here is Channel Divinity options, looking at spell usage. Those are pretty much your go-to things as a cleric. So with that, you have a great spell list to have these things always ready, because again, we go over this a lot with different things, is having certain spells prepared lets you go outside the box and pick other things to prepare as well.
Right. So you got a lot of RP spells here that you normally wouldn't want to prepare maybe this many RP spells if you're a more combat-focused campaign. Because you have access to all these already, you can feel free to prepare other stuff.
Right. Exactly. Also, the wisdom save advantage definitely is very good and works well. The double concentration is very nice to have and does synergize well with the spells, but you have limited spell usage on here. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And, of course, that capstone just makes you an absolute monster, getting disadvantage on any spells you throw out there.
And not just yours.
Right.
Like, if you've got a sorcerer or wizard in your group that's throwing out spells as well, like just throwing out fireballs and having disadvantage on that saving throw against that, maxing out that damage all the time. It's great.
Right. So with that being said, you get good uses with spells, options. You get good usage with Channel Divinity.
Yes.
The downside on here is you might fall into that, again, you have limited resources, and you have 3 uses for Channel Divinity. All right. And
at most.
If you use Mind of Two Moons, you're going to have disadvantage on your con saves.
Yes.
So you have to be very careful when you do those things and how you use it.
And all the more reason you should take Warcaster.
Right.
I mean, normally it's a discussion to take it anyway when you're a full caster, because you can pick enough concentration spells where it's good to keep it up as best you can. But situation like this, if you have Warcaster, it would negate the disadvantage of concentration. It would have to just be a regular roll, so you have a better chance of holding up those 2 concentration spells at once.
Yeah. All that being said, we gave it a 4 on the synergy.
Yep.
Pretty solid, but definitely some limitations on there, and a little bit of what I like to call the analysis paralysis, where you have a couple of too many options. Maybe you might get stuck trying to decide when to use certain things and not use them.
Yeah, when to use it, when not to, because you don't get to do it all the time.
Right. And if you miss your chance, then maybe you don't even use it that day at all, and you just miss the opportunity completely.
And that hurts.
Yeah, for sure.
That hurts.
But yeah, definitely very interesting, very fun, cool, flavorful subclass for sure on here. Mm-hmm. And just a shout out here. The art for that is so cool as well.
It's very, very cool.
I like it. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Remember to check out the Seeds of Decay Kickstarter. Yes. It's really cool stuff coming out here. The campaign has just started, so make sure you check it out. Take a look at it. It looks like it's going to be really cool. Helped being made by Hit Point Press, so they always make quality stuff. Definitely worth a look at the very least. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications. All of our new videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.